Sustainability has sort of been a hot topic for guitar making in the past number of years, for a good reason. I think it's a really important topic to talk about and to educate ourselves with. As a guitar maker using wood on a daily basis, I've always kind of struggled with the idea that I'm using wood from a tree that had to have been cut down, or multiple trees that were cut down. So that is something I've always sort of struggled with, because I don't like to be a part of that, but it's necessary. Now, there are certain things that you can do that help to improve your impact on the environment as a guitar maker or as an instrument maker. And I think one of the main things, as far as I'm concerned, is actually knowing where your wood's coming from and knowing the intention behind the person who actually cut down the wood. So for many species, if they come from halfway across the globe from you, then it's really difficult to do that. I have made quite a number of guitars with wood that I have no clue who cut it down or where exactly it came from. I'm not particularly proud of that, but it's something I fully intend on working towards and bettering in my guitar making. I think actually one thing I like so much about this Ember series of guitars that I'm building is that almost all the woods are local. So I know who cut the wood, I know where it came from, and the rest of the wood for the guitar, like the top, it comes from salvage sources out in Western Canada. So I know that is almost as sustainable as you can get. Knowing where it comes from and actually talking to the person who's salvaged it or cut it down is maybe the only way to actually know how sustainable it is. As guitar makers, it's really easy to just buy wood from a wood supplier and build with it. And in the first half of my career, I did that without thinking too much about it, but it's definitely, over the years, I've become more and more aware of it, and there's this disconnect between the materials you're working with and your entire career as a guitar maker or as an instrument maker. So I highly encourage luthiers to actually get to know the wood and get to know, for example, the tree. If you are using Indian rosewood, do you even know what an Indian rosewood tree looks like? And so I think it helps that I'm also interested in that sort of thing. For example, 2 years ago I went on a trip to Costa Rica, Central America, and a large portion of my time was spent looking at trees and trying to identify them, which I felt it's almost necessary as a guitar maker who wants to be sustainable, and also just to know the material on another level. It's really easy to just get used to spruce being a piece of wood as opposed to a living tree, and the tightness of grain being a physical property as opposed to the history of a tree. 3 years ago, my wife Holly and I bought a property, 100 acres, and it's mainly wooded and has quite a wide variety of species of trees, many of which would work for guitar making, which is sort of exciting. And I've been working mostly on building our house, so I haven't had a lot of time to actually go and harvest wood, but that is something that I'm really excited about, because if I'm harvesting deadfall for my guitars, that is very sustainable. If I'm harvesting 2 deadfall trees per year on 100 acres with tens of thousands of trees on it, there's no way I could actually keep up to the deadfall. I know deadfall is good for natural habitat for other species and decomposition of the forest floor, but it's one of the most sustainable sources. I feel okay about cutting up a tree that's fallen over, but I never like the idea of cutting a tree that's still living. So I thought it would be nice to actually go through some of the woods that I have available to me, and every guitar maker is going to have a slightly different, or most guitar makers are going to have a slightly different array of woods to choose from that are local. So I do encourage you to look into what's local to you and see if you can go straight to the source. I took a walk around our property with Holly, and we looked at some of the different trees that we have to see what kind of trees we have that would be good to share on here for other guitar makers to see. One of the most amazing trees on our property, I think, is the basswood trees, also called linden, and the scientific name is Tilia americana. It's known by wood carvers because it's a really soft wood. It's really easy to carve by hand. And in guitar making, it makes great liners, it makes great back braces, and it makes great laminates for backs or sides. It's also really nice and clean looking. This is a prime basswood blowdown that's perfect for guitars. Nice and straight, no twist at all, no branches until about 25 feet up the tree. So this will have a lot of wood in it for guitars. Another amazing tree species we have on our property is beech, American beech, scientific name Fagus grandifolia, and it is a very dense, uniform looking wood, and I've never actually used it yet for guitar making, but I'm excited to use it. Most of our beech trees have this beech bark disease. Some of them are building a resiliency to it, the newer ones, which is pretty neat to see. There's some fresh sapsucker holes there, and that's just a bird that pecks little holes and actually eats the sap out of the tree. And oftentimes they'll go right around the tree and it'll kill the tree. Another thing to notice is there's a bit of a twist in this tree. This is important to note because when you cut boards out of a tree like this, there's going to be run out in the boards because there's a twist. If you take a board that's straight with the tree, you can see that the grain goes sideways. So a twisting tree like that is not great for lumber that's going to be stable, and for guitars. This is a really nice, healthy young beech tree. No signs of blister bark. We cut 3 trees down that were dying or dead from the beech bark disease, and it's in 1-inch lumber right now, but I'm looking forward to turning some of that into guitars for backs and sides. Sugar maple or hard rock maple, scientific name Acer saccharum, is mostly what covers our property, and St. Joseph Island, where we live, is quite well known for its maple syrup operations because of all the sugar maples. This is a really nice maple that I'm hoping to harvest fairly soon. It's kind of nice right now because it's up off the ground. It's not going to rot in the moisture in the ground, so sooner the better though. This was uprooted. The roots are right in a swamp, so it must have been a windstorm or something at one point and it just uprooted and fell over. So. Now in this maple there are irregularities that happen, like curly figure and then bird's eye maple as well, which are both sought after for violins and guitars and instruments. But those irregularities happen very seldom and in pretty specific conditions. This tree was girdled by loggers a while back. As you can see, they take a chainsaw and cut all the way around, basically killing the tree. And the reason for that is to, from what I've learned, is just to leave certain trees for wildlife. And then if you kill it this way, the branches fall down slowly as opposed to the whole tree falling down and destroying the trees around it. But you can see this, there's a spot here where the tree actually tried to heal. Imagine it's pretty traumatic for the tree. But this one's totally dead. Check out that curl. Oftentimes there will be curl in the stump of a tree. So that curl most likely doesn't go past the lower probably 2 feet of the tree. But there's a chance, I suppose. This tree could be curly maple. We also have a little bit of yellow birch. I've seen a number of guitars built with it for back and sides, and it can be really gorgeous and supposedly sounds great as well. One interesting fact that I learned from my sister who went to school for forestry. If you take a fresh twig that's new growth, you can actually scrape it a little bit and it smells like wintergreen. So I hope you enjoyed following us on our walk on our property and learning a little bit about what trees are around our area. And I hope it encourages other guitar makers to try to source local woods and try them in guitar making. Every wood has potential to sound awesome. It's just a matter of how to work with it. I guess this all circles back to sustainability again, and why are we trying to be sustainable? If you're thinking about sustainability, you're thinking about future generations, you're thinking about your kids, you're thinking about the quality of life for people down the road. I would love for my child to be able to see what a Brazilian rosewood tree looks like. I hope this video encourages you to look at sustainability a little bit more and to think outside the box, not to necessarily follow tradition to a T using the exact materials they used 50 to 100 years ago. There are so many viable options that aren't commonly used in guitar making or instrument making, and it's up to us as luthiers to actually start using them and convince our customers that they are viable options, that they can sound sometimes better than the traditional materials. What matters more than the materials is the person that's actually crafting the guitar and how they're crafting the guitar. If you like this video, I encourage you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It does help. I would love to be able to share more of my knowledge, and I really hope that it encourages some collaboration or talking amongst guitar makers and instrument makers about not only just sustainability but everything else. Being a guitar maker is not an easy thing to do. The more we can talk to each other and support each other, the better. So like and subscribe. I hope to see you in the next video. Talk to you later.